Well, thanks to all of our speakers today. Let's go ahead and get to questions. You can raise your hand to ask a question, or you can type it in the question chat box.
All right, this is Cody, and we did get a couple typed in as we were going through that. I guess we'll start. There was one from Matt there, from Tammy. They're planning to transition Wildfire Safe off of TechnoSilva, or are there some agreements in place that will allow TechnoSilva to host that far into the future?
So we're in the process of moving that, moving the app to Forest Service supported, probably Forest Service supported cloud, so that we actually will own the app and we will support it in the future. We hope we can keep working with TechnoSilva because they bring a great skill set in terms of the technology stack and the interface and like building a way to interact with data. But for us, we hope to have that transitioned over the next few months, hopefully after January or so on a Forest Service cloud.
All right, thank you. And I guess a couple of earlier questions we can go back to. Robin, I guess if you'd like, if you're still on, I can unmute. I think I can. If you want to ask your question directly so everybody can hear the answer, question and answer, I'll let you have at it.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so the question I had for Zeke, he answered that in the box, so I'll just let people read that because I think everybody can see that. But I have a question for Matt with regard to your fire danger severity index and the shelter deployment examples that you showed. Are those the graphs that you showed? Are those with real observed data of BI in ERC, or is that with like a 12 to 24 hour lead time NDFD forecast inputs?
So those are for the observed weather, but what I did was go back to all of the actual forecasts that were produced and stored in WIMS to verify that they were as severe or as the forecast conditions. So basically trying to make sure that the forecast conditions captured the same thing. So essentially they would be the same, but they're based off of the observations, but the forecasts that were stored are very similar to the ops.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Zeke, did you get your question answered as far as the social media platforms and whether or not needing accounts?
I did get an answer from Casey, but I'm not sure if other folks saw it.
So in terms of the social media accounts, and I'll just go over this, I haven't seen any other questions and we got a little time. So Zeke had asked about if you can get the information from the social media accounts without having your own account. And Casey's response to that was you can get some of that information without a personal account, but you'll often be limited in what you can get. Probably depends somewhat on the site, but you'll be able to get more information if you actually have an account with those social media providers. All right, go to, sorry, let me, clean. Looks like I got a question for Todd. Let's see, I'll make sure you can unmute. All right, Should be able to ask your question.
Okay, good morning. I was wondering if you had envisioned what the role of predictive services could be in regards to the remote sense satellite information, the new products, both in terms of strategic fire environment types of decision support and also tactical decision support for initial attack. In other words, how does predictive services fit into this, getting the information to the folks that need it and can process it very quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the most powerful uses of the remote sensing satellite capabilities that we have seen, certainly here in the Southern Plains, has been perhaps when predictive services kind of provide strategic, preparatory information that helps move resources into a specific area. And then when the real-time remote sensing capabilities come in, and you're able to get very rapid notification of new ignitions or new hotspots, then those resources that predictive services has helped to influence pre-deployment of can very quickly be moved or routed to those new ignitions very quickly. And in the example I concluded with, the task force that I referenced had actually been pre-positioned from their home base 250 miles away on the east side of Oklahoma to western Oklahoma a day before. And then it just so, just kind of by happenstance, not really about, that area was expected to be of enhanced risk that day, but it just so happened that they set up shop, 15 miles from where the fire actually ignited. So they were able to get there within minutes. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of the way where I see predictive services maybe fitting best in is helping strategically pre-deploy to areas of higher risk, and then you use the more tactical remote sensing capabilities to route those resources to a fire very quickly.
Sure. Thank you, Todd.
You bet.
All right, thank you. There were a couple questions about the recording of the webinar and then about the presentations being available afterward, and it looks like those will be posted to the NWCG site once this gets processed. And kind of same with that'll include the links that Zeke provided on getting some of that satellite imagery that he referred to. And then it looks like we have a question from Trevor Miller, and we'll get you, Trevor, make sure that you can, should be able to unmute. And if you would like to ask your question for Matt, I'll let you go ahead.
Hey, Matt, I was just curious, the clipping boxes associated with the metrics on wildfire safe, do those change with perimeter changes, or just are they maintained point of origin throughout the event?
So in the next 2 weeks, they will change based on the perimeter. Right now, they use an analysis box that's, so yeah, we're working on things in real time here. They use an analysis box that's basically 3 pixels by 3 pixels of the forecast. So whatever the ignition location is, we draw a box around it, we sample that box. But what we're finishing right now is the ability to pull the perimeter from the National Instant Feature Service, create a buffer around that perimeter, and provide a summary of the impact footprint of an incident. So that should be in the app by the end of November.
Gotcha. Very good. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Todd Rankin, good morning. You got your hand up. Do you have a question? If you do, you can unmute. There you go.
Yeah, good morning. Quick question for Matt. Really been looking at that severe fire danger index. And as we're working on our fire danger operating plans, I've been talking with our working group about how to incorporate that into that. Do you see an application for that within the fire danger operating plans?
I do, and it's basically in run cards and dispatch response levels right now. So we're working. I'm working with the Lolo on their Lolo and Bitterroot, basically Southwest Zone Montana fire danger operating plan. And what we're going to do is incorporate a way to communicate these extreme days through dispatch response level. So there are places where it fits. We haven't exactly sorted out all of the the places to kind of insert it, but that's definitely one where having that information ahead of time and having it built into the way that we dispatch and way that we communicate has a lot of utility for safety.
Great, thanks.
All right, thank you. So that, I think, at least for now, that covers the questions we received. So if anyone else has any, here's your chance to get a question in or raise your hand. So Wes, do you have something that looks like we can see your screen? Something to All right, I'm not seeing anything else. I guess, Wes, back to you.
Okay. Okay, we can go ahead and wrap up a little early, Diane. That's all right.
Hey, Diane and Wes, this is Tammy. There's a couple questions that came in from a direct email to Diane. So maybe I'll just run through a couple of those since it's collectively for the fire behavior community. And then if we don't have a direct answer, I think it's just good to put it in the room for additional folks to kind of mull over in the back of their minds. Let's see. Has to do with FBANs and LTANs, assigning FBAN trainees to manage incidents due to ongoing shortages. So I think part of the question maybe is, what are we doing as a fire community to continue the development of skill sets for FBANs and LTANs to mitigate some of these shortages? So maybe we don't have a direct answer. We'll incorporate some of these other comments and questions maybe and route them up to some other conversations that we have, and we'll go from there. I don't think we don't have any more questions in the chat box. Any more hands raised at this time?
Not right now.
Okay, Diane. All right, go ahead and close it out, Diane. Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. So as we said, we've recorded today's webinar, and the recording will be hosted on the Fire Environment Continuing Education Subcommittee homepage. Thanks everyone for your participation. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you, I guess, in the spring. Thanks.